Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet. It is Wednesday. It is November the 12th. We'll go ahead. We'll start at the top of the board. We'll talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs a bit here. Anthony Stolarz is not ruled out to play tomorrow against the Kings, so his injury not as bad as it could have been, and that'd be good news if he's not going to be out for very long. It looks like Woll may very well be called up by tomorrow's game as well. He's had, I think it's 2 starts now with the Marlies, so he may very well be ready to come up. Austin Matthews, on the other hand, it doesn't sound like he'll be playing tomorrow. He's going to be evaluated today. We'll see what the time frame is for Matthews, but a Toronto team that's already been struggling over the last week to 10 days is going to be without arguably their best forward in Matthews. Arguably, because you can make the argument that Tavares has been their most valuable player. You can make the argument that Nylander's their most talented. And you can make an argument that Nyes has been very productive as well and deserves to be in that conversation. But either way, Toronto having their struggles right now and losing Matthews, you would think probably doesn't help with that. And I say probably would think because sometimes teams play better without their best player. It does happen. David Pastrnak last night became the 7th fastest player to 400 goals amongst those born outside of North America. It took him 774 games. Jari Kurri led the way there, 608 games. Ovechkin, 634. Bure, 635. Solani, 700. Yager, 742. And Ilya Kovalchuk, 771. And of course, this is underscored by the fact that Boston's on a 7-game winning streak, which I don't think anybody saw coming. When they had that 6-game losing streak, I didn't look at that and go, well, clearly they're going to win a whole bunch of games here because they got all that losing out of the way, but it feels like that's kind of what's happened. So either way, Boston's doing really well right now. Whether or not it's sustainable, we'll find out in the coming weeks and months. Thatcher Demko is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks, so it definitely looks like this is different than the knee injury that he's been dealing with for the last year or so. Being out 2 to 3 weeks is not optimal, but Kevin Lankinen saying all the right things here, that he's ready to play every single game if he needs to. And he also feels like having played with a starter's load to start the season with Demko being out here and there, he does feel like playing every other day works to his rhythm and that he's playing well that way. He does prefer, but most goaltenders, if you ask him, are going to say, well, I'd prefer to be the starter. I think it would be remarkable, actually, to get an interview where a goaltender goes, nah, I'm good. Give me 25 games. I don't want more than that. I just don't. I get tired easily. I don't want it. So, but either way, Lankinen's confident. He did play well in relief for Demko last night, so we'll see what happens over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Landon Sligert's been recalled by the Chicago Blackhawks. This is in case Burakovsky can't go tonight against the Devils. Sligert, of course, can play at the NHL level. Chicago does have decent depth now. This is something to keep an eye on as the season rolls along, as they start to deal with injuries here and there. How will the call-ups perform, and will they be able to sustain the record that they've had over the last few weeks once those injuries start to happen? So Sliger being recalled is good for him. We'll see whether or not he's needed, whether or not Burakovsky can't go. But I don't think you call up Sliger unless you have a feeling Burakovsky's not going to be able to play tonight. Nathan MacKinnon's point streak reaches 10 games. That's the 11th time in his career he's reached 10 games. He joins kind of an elite crew when it comes to that many 10-game point streaks. He's also the first in the National Hockey League to reach 30 points. He's just been on a mission. The game against Edmonton really gave him quite the boost. Then the game against Vancouver did as well. And then he had some points last night too. So it's been a really strong run for him and for the Colorado Avalanche. They look fantastic right now. Nichushkin, on the other hand, dealing with a lower body injury. There's no timetable at this point as I'm recording this for Nichushkin's return. So it looks like he's going to be out for a bit. Kivi Ranta at practice today in a non-contact jersey. So Kivi Ranta is getting closer to a return. Non-contact meaning probably at least a week out, right? So for the Colorado Avalanche, they're always dealing with injuries, it seems, over the years. I'm sure they'll be fine. And Nichushkin, it does feel like, does miss his share of time during any given season. The Dallas Stars, whom I'm wearing the jersey of, last night was their 4th multi-goal comeback, which leads the National Hockey League. Now, some look at that and they go, hey, that's great. They get all these big comebacks. It's awesome. I look at that and say, that's usually not all that sustainable. My concern is the fact they're falling behind as often as they are. So that's how I look at it. Is I'm kind of like, it'd be better if they weren't behind and needing these comebacks, because eventually they won't be able to get those comebacks, especially the multi-goal variety. But so far, they've done it 4 times. We'll see if it continues. Adam Ernie's going to be out multiple weeks with a lower body injury. Depth forward, it's something that I'm sure the Dallas Stars will be fine with. They have a lot of depth in their organization as well. Calgary waiving Kirkland today, so Kirkland not off to the start this season that he was last season. It's too bad, but it does mean with the slower start, he's more likely to clear waivers. So I don't think Kirkland gets claimed on waivers, but there might be a team around the NHL that goes, hey, he had a good start last year. We need a depth forward right now. Let's bring him in and see what he's able to do. Goaltender Spencer Martin has been signed by the New York Rangers to a 2-year contract. He was bought out, I believe, last week of his KHL contract. So it looks like he was bought out of that KHL contract with the idea that he would be signing with the New York Rangers. It's a 2-year contract. It's a 2-way deal. And the New York Rangers have placed him on waivers. This is for organizational depth. You do need 3 NHL quality goaltenders, and Martin can fill in at the NHL level and play. So I think the New York Rangers made the right decision with this move. So let me know what you think of Spencer Martin joining the New York Rangers. The Devils shuffling their top lines, looking for more goals. Gritsuk has moved up onto the top line. I understand this move. Gritsuk's definitely a play driver. He's fast. He's got good hands. So he'll be playing on the same line with Jack Hughes, and we'll see how that goes for him and for the Devils, of course. The Devils still tops in their division, but looking for a little bit more than what they've had recently. So we'll see how things go with the top lines being shuffled tonight as they go into their game against the Chicago Blackhawks. Chabot is undergoing further testing, so the Ottawa Senators defenseman is likely to miss tomorrow night's game against the Boston Bruins. For Ottawa, of course, it's been a very up and down experience early in the season. I know they're 6-1-3 in their last 10. I still have some concerns with the Ottawa Senators and their play. We'll see how things go in that game against Boston. It feels like they play Boston every other night. So at the very least, though, they have won 1 out of 2 against Boston. So, and that game they lost, at least it was close. So we'll see how things go tomorrow. I keep seeing a lot of articles about Steven Stamkos and whether or not Stamkos is going to get moved. And I want to put this in perspective a little bit. There are some issues that make it more difficult to move Stamkos than it may sound. First off, he has an $8 million cap hit through 2027-2028. And we're already seeing a drop-off in his production. He has 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points in 18 games. Yes, he's been better lately, but he still has 4 points in 18 games. And an $8 million cap hits a lot. So Nashville would probably have to eat half of that. And the fact that the contract extends 2 years past this one might still give a team some pause about picking it up. And the other thing is, Stamkos has full control over where he's going to go because he has a no movement clause in that contract as well. So it's not like they can turn around and say, well, we're just going to trade him to, insert name of team here the players wouldn't want to go to. Stamkos can say, no, I have a no movement clause. And whereas the New York Rangers got around that with using waivers, I can't see Nashville doing that with Stamkos. Stamkos is a Hall of Famer. I can't see them doing that. So it will be interesting to see if he does get moved, but I don't think it's going to be easy. And it's not like he'd just be a rental. You're picking up a guy who's got a contract for a couple more years. And so it's very complicated. And I think it's one of those things where people get attached to the name. A lot of the time people get attached to the name and go, oh, I really like that player. He'd be great for us, without looking at the underlying numbers or age. The fact that Stamkos is getting older. Even his last year in Tampa, where he was really productive, the numbers would tell you that Kucherov was a big part of the reason that he was as productive as he was. And certainly since getting to Nashville and not having Kucherov feeding him the puck, we've seen a real large drop-off in his production. It is something a general manager would have to keep in mind if they were going to pick up Stamkos. I also wanted to throw this note on the board today. The Abbotsford Canucks game tonight, which I will be attending. It is the night to bring non-perishable food to donate to the food bank. So I'm just throwing that on the board just for anybody who might be watching and going to the Abbotsford game tonight. Don't forget to bring your non-perishable food. And I'll just say to anybody else, your local team, look for that night. Very often, especially in the AHL, you get those nights, but you get those with the NHL as well. Food banks are really important at this time of year. It is not a fantastical, wonderful time for everybody when we get into the holidays, so keep that in mind. And if you have any non-perishable food to bring, by all means do so. I know we're going to be bringing some. I did mention that to Yvonne earlier, and she told me to remind her again closer to the game time, but I'm letting everybody else know too. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.